what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. In this video, I'm going to be talking specifically about Classic Physique Olympia updates. Some of the updates that have impressed me the most. One of them, I want to start with a guy that I don't typically talk about, because there's a few guys that I talk about a lot, and there's other guys that are really good that I don't talk about as much. I want to talk about first Josema, a.k.a. Jose Manuel Munoz. So last year at the Olympia, he was top 6 in Classic Physique. He posted these updates in the last 24 hours of his back, where his back looks absolutely insane. Dense, grainy, conditioned, just very, very impressive updates from a Classic Physique guy. I mean, his back it looks nuts. And I think he's got a pretty solid case for being back in the top 6 again this year. But one of the reasons why I think he's an interesting guy to talk about in this video is because I'm going to talk about the latest update from Ruff Diesel, and this is a reason why I think Ruff Diesel is back in the conversation, is beating Josema at both the New York Pro and the Pittsburgh Pro this year. And he had a crazy year. Jose had a crazy year last year, winning the Nutri-Yummy Pro Cup, the M Pro Classic, and the Cali Pro. This year, however, he was unable to secure a pro win because of Ruff Diesel. So he won 3 shows in 2025, in 2024, and was top 6 at the Olympia that year. But this year was unable to win either of the shows that he entered because of Terrence. And I believe it was that Nutri-Yummy Pro Cup in October of last year that qualified him early for this year's Mr. Olympia, which is why he's qualified even without winning a 2025 show. But some of these updates that he's been posting over the last couple weeks, he looks absolutely peeled, dry, super detailed. His condition just looks next level. But as impressive as Jose looks, here's the guy that shut him down at both of those shows this year. The latest update from Terrence Ruffin. I think everybody is talking about this update today because it's probably one of the more impressive Classic Physique updates that we've seen in the build-up to the show. Terrence looks crazy, bro. His back looks insane. Glutes are crazy striated. His hamstrings are super dug out. This is the type of Terrence that I want to see. I still don't think, when I look back at both that Pittsburgh and New York show, even though he won and beat really good lineups and, Jose was there, even though he won those shows, I didn't feel like it was the level of condition that I know Terrence can bring, that I think he needs to bring to the Olympia. These updates here, bro, Terrence is peeled. This honestly, I think as far as him posing from the back, this honestly might be, I think, the most impressive prep update back video that I think I've ever seen of Terrence Ruffin. He looks crazy here. Because let's be clear, Terrence already has probably one of, if not the most classic structures on a shorter guy in the whole Olympia lineup. His structure is beautiful. He is Classic Physique. So when you bring that and you peel it up like this, and you come in with this type of detail on that type of frame, that's the guy that's battling with Chris Bumstead for the title. This is the Terrence that I think could win this year. I genuinely think that Terrence could come in here and he could be the surprise of the show. I feel like maybe because, bodybuilding memory, Classic Physique memory, the memory of the fans, it typically is very short term. So the guys that did really well at last year's Olympia, those are the guys that people are thinking about, aka, Mike, for example. And because Terrence didn't compete at last year's Olympia, I feel like for that reason, he's kind of not in the forefront of people's minds as a threat to the title. Which brings me back to the weigh-in discussion. So Terrence was kind enough to reply to some questions that I had about his weigh-ins in the past. Because I remembered there was a year that Terrence actually missed weight at the weigh-ins, and then he was able to get that weight off in time to make weight. That was the year that he dropped from 2nd place to 6th place at that year's Olympia. He said he believes it was 2022. So I was kind of curious, and I was asking him, so what's the process like? What happens if somebody does miss weight? And actually, I'll throw up this picture. I thought this was really funny, so I'm going to throw this up. It's an AI-generated image of Mike with and without hair to try to give an idea of how much height he might actually lose if they remeasure this year. But just while we're on this topic, I thought this picture would be funny. So Terrence said that when it happened to him, when he missed weight, they gave him like an hour to fix it. So as it relates to the Mike situation, and I don't know for sure they're going to do it the exact same way this year. Hopefully some things are different. I would like to see it live streamed so we can see it like in real time. We can watch the weigh-ins in the measuring ourselves. But so as it relates to Mike, if Mike misses weight, or misses height, I guess I should say, and then misses weight because he's as big as he is, and maybe he's not allowed to weigh 212. If that happens, in the past, at least in Terrence's situation, you have like an hour to fix it. It's not like come back tomorrow and you have like the rest of the day and all night to try to sweat off that weight and come back and weigh in. It's like the weigh-ins are a couple-hour window. And again, I think it's different every year. I think the athletes come in and you have like an hour or two from whatever time you get there. It's usually just like it's going to be in this ballroom, be at the ballroom between 6:30 and 7:30. That's when the weigh-ins are. It's not like an all-day long thing. It's not like you can come back and do it a day later. Everybody's there all at once at the same time, weighing in kind of in front of each other. So if Mike were to miss weight, he would have to lose at least 8 pounds to get from, assuming he's right at 212, to get from 212 down to 204, which will be the next weight class down. And that's also assuming that he doesn't have to go even lower than that. I think that now with this scrutiny and the fact that they are remeasuring these guys, reheighting these guys, I think they're going to take it serious. And I think that if they do live stream it, or there is a lot of video, or there is a lot of media there, I think they are going to really press down and try to get an accurate measurement. Because look, I think some of these questions and some of these images and some of the concern that the fans have, I think some of this stuff is legitimate. Like, as silly as this picture looks, this hair versus bald picture, as silly as this whole topic seems, it does make it look like there's room for inaccurate results and maybe people getting away with things that they shouldn't. And I think that now that there's this emphasis on this and they're doing the rehiding, I think if there's any type of media or camera or live stream in the room, they're going to do it right so there's no more pictures that come out looking like this. And then the other question that I asked Terrence that I thought was a really interesting question, and I asked this to a couple other guys that I'm friends with in Classic Physique if they knew of any examples, and everybody said no to the question, has anybody ever actually like been disqualified, like missed weight and could not compete at the Olympia? Like Terrence missed weight, but he was able to make weight in time to get on stage. And nobody can think of an example. So that was the other part of my question. So say Mike doesn't make weight. Has anybody ever actually been denied, like you cannot compete because you didn't make weight? I can't think of an example of that in Classic Physique, and neither could any of the other Classic Physique guys that I talked to, which honestly I think is a little bit odd. I mean, when you think about how many guys compete every year in Classic Physique in that division alone, when you've got 60, 70 guys, how has nobody ever missed weight to where they couldn't compete? Yeah, I get it. They're professionals and they know what they have to weigh. They know what their height is, or at least they think they do. And there's ways to basically sweat off that weight and try to make it in time, which, again, that's what happened to Terrence. But to my knowledge, there's never actually been, and you guys can correct me if you guys can think of an example, I don't think there's been an example that we can point to when it comes to the Classic Physique Olympia where this has been something that was enforced. And by enforced, I mean somebody missed weight, they could not lose it and get under, and they were disqualified. And maybe every single year at the Olympia, every single competitor was right on the money with their weight. But it does surprise me that nobody has ever actually been like disqualified. Like, you can't compete, you don't weigh what you should. And I guess we won't really know the answer to what would happen to Terrence, what would have happened to Terrence back in 2022 if he did not sweat that weight off at the last minute. I forget how over he was, but would they have said, no, you can't compete to Terrence in 2022 if he couldn't get that weight off? I don't know. We've never seen it happen before. And so I think this could definitely be something, and that's why I think this is such an interesting situation with this whole Mike Sommerfeld, the height thing. This could actually be something where this fan response, like this discourse around the height thing, I think it could actually lead to a positive change. We've already seen the email went out. They're remeasuring the heights. So they're listening to what the fans are saying. And I think if they add like a live stream element to it, which like holds them accountable because the fans are watching this happen live, I think that that is a prime example of this discourse leading to a good accountability change. I think this is what the fans want to see, and I think it would benefit the athletes too. But anyway, away from that topic, I want to give some more spotlight to some physique updates that really impressed me. I really was impressed with the update that Matt Greggo posted on his YouTube channel today, and I was kind of surprised by how low the viewership was on this video. When I looked at it, it had like 4,000 views. But he showed his 1 week out physique update, and Matt looked great. And I think because it was so early in the season, I feel like people maybe forget a little bit. I think that was actually the very first show of the season, the Detroit Pro back in March. Actually, the Arnold was the first show, but the Detroit Pro was the first show after the Arnold. Matt Greggo won that show, and he was third at the Arnold this year. And then at the Olympia last year, he was 10th. But I think the version of Matt that we saw this year was probably the best that we'd ever seen, like improvement-wise. And even in 2024, he won the New York Pro, and he was second in Pittsburgh. So these last 2 years, he's really been coming into his own. He's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if we see him move up from last year. And like I said, he was 10th, so moving up would put him more in the range of potentially top 6. But man, I'm really impressed with how Matt looks in this update. Conditioning-wise, size-wise, he's definitely put, I mean, the amount of muscle that he's put on since he started in Classic Physique, he's grown so much as a Classic Physique competitor. And I'm very impressed by this version of Matt for sure. I think he's going to do better this year than he did last year, placings-wise at the Olympia. Does that mean top 6? Possibly. And then the final update that I wanted to talk about in today's video, the updates that we got from both Patrick Tuor and Logan Franklin today. Logan is just absolutely shredded. This is, I cannot wait to see the version of Logan that we get to see at the Olympia this year with the added size, some improvements from the Arnold, and hopefully as diced or potentially even more diced than he was at the Arnold. Logan Franklin, I would say in this video so far, Logan and Terrence, to me, if I were judging it, those would be my top 2 just based on who I think is the most classic, who I think brings just the type of physique that I like in Classic the most. I would love to see them as the top 2, Logan and Terrence. They're both phenomenal posers too, which I think is hugely important in Classic Physique. Both of them are great posers. They both have a great structure. Logan has more of the tall classic guy structure. Terrence, I think, has the perfect shorter classic guy structure. That would be a great top 2, in my opinion. Logan and Terrence would be phenomenal. And I think I'm probably going to do my actual, my Classic Physique and Open predictions tomorrow. I'm going to wait for the official competitor list to come out tomorrow, because even though we know the qualified competitor list, tomorrow is Monday, so just like any other show, we should get published on the IFBB website, like the finalized Olympia list for both Open and Classic. So just in case there's some guys that, you know, drop out or don't do the show, or maybe some guys like a Big Ramy or something for Open that join last minute. I just want to see what those Monday competitor lists look like, and then I'm going to do the prediction video just to see, make sure everybody's in. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about all these physique updates, and let me know what you guys think about the height thing this year. Do you think there should be a live stream? Do you think there should be stricter standards? And what do you think about, I think it's kind of an interesting statistic that so far in the history of Classic, at least to my knowledge, no one has ever been disqualified from competing at the Olympia for missing weight. And shout out to Terrence, by the way, too, for responding so quickly. I was like, should I even bother him with these questions? It's peak week for him. He's probably busy. He responded right away. He's a great guy. But anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.